Shavua Tova Gudvach. Tonight's story is a pretty amazing miracle that's connected to the Tanya. Many years ago in the 70s, there was a rabbi in Elizabeth, New Jersey. His name was Rabbi Pinchas Teitz, who for some reason was given permission by the Russians to travel to Russia, and he used the opportunity to bring books and other Jewish things needed to kind of smuggle them in. Tzitzis and Sidurim and prayer books, Chumashim, all kinds of stuff. And somehow, before every trip, it seemed that the Rebbe would send someone to him with articles, Jewish stuff to bring to Russia, and with names, and ask him the favor of taking them there. And even though it was risky, somehow he had permission and he always accepted it. One time, the day before a trip, the day before he was set to travel to Russia, the Rebbe sent someone to him with a specific request to take a Tanya with him and to hold the Tanya with him for the entire trip. Unlike other articles that were meant to be given to people in different cities and different synagogues, the Tanya, the only mission was to have it with him and have it on him. Actually, he was kind of scared and hesitant to take something like that with him, but he agreed because, of course, he respected the Rebbe. He goes to Russia, and everywhere he goes, people would approach him. He had to be very discreet. And at one point, it's the night before he's planning to return back to America. He's walking down the street from a shul towards his hotel, when all of a sudden the car pulls up beside him, and two gentlemen grab him, put him in the backseat of the car, and cover his eyes. And he is petrified. He imagines that the secret police are onto him. They saw him meeting various Jews, distributing Jewish things, breaking the law, and God knows what's going to be. To his great relief, after 20 or 30 minutes, the car pulled over in a quiet area, and it turned out that the people who were with him, who had kidnapped him, were actually Jewish people that were working quietly to spread Judaism in Russia. And they said, we couldn't speak to you anywhere publicly because we could get in big trouble, but we have a favor to ask of you. When you return to New York, to the States, you lived in Jersey, please go to the Rebbe and ask him an important question on behalf of each one of us. One guy who was very involved in teaching classes and things like that felt that the KGB was after him and were going to arrest him. And his question was, should he leave his city, leave his position, and go and hide somewhere else in Russia to avoid the KGB? He was hesitant to do that because he didn't have someone to hand over his classes and his students to. On the other hand, if he gets arrested and put in jail, that doesn't help his students either. So he wanted the Rebbe's advice on what he should do. The second guy said that there's occasional windows of opportunity when they give visas to leave Russia to go to Israel, which is a good thing. But when you apply for such a visa, automatically you lose your job, you lose your livelihood, you become a real parasite, and life can be very difficult, especially if you don't get the visa anyways. So he's wondering whether now is a good time to leave Russia to go to Israel. Should he bother applying and risk his future or create his future? So they said, you can't write anything down, so memorize our names, Shmerel ben Chana and Yosef and Rivka, whatever. And so he repeated their names until he knew everything clearly, who's asking the question, what their name is, what the question is. And he promised to give these questions over to the Rebbe. How the Rebbe will answer is the Rebbe's business. All of a sudden, Rabbi Teitz thought to himself, he remembered that he has in his pocket the Tanya that the Rebbe had sent. So he mentions to these two Chassidim, by the way, a very unusual thing happened. The Rebbe gave me a Tanya. And they look at him and they're like in shock. And he says, you have in your possession a Tanya that the Rebbe held in his hands just a week ago? Will you please give it to us? And he says, no, I won't give it to you. The Rebbe gave it to me. So they said, can we at least hold it? Can we see it? He said, sure, but it's not yours. And he pulls out the Tanya and he gives it to these two Chassidim. And they caress the Tanya. They're holding the Tanya. They can't believe they're holding something the Rebbe himself held in his hands just a week ago. And they start thumbing through the Tanya. And all of a sudden, one of them says, look, there's a fold in a page over here. Let me see what the page says. He opens it up. And he sees that Alter Rebbe writes, I don't know off the top of my head the page number, but the first words are that he who the time is pressing, he needs to leave. And he said, the Rebbe's answering my question, that I need to leave Moscow and go somewhere else. Like, I have an answer. Another guy grabs the Tanya, starts touching it, looking at it. All of a sudden, he finds a page, and he opens up the folded page, and the first words on the page are about going to Israel, making Aliyah. And he said, I have my answer here as well. And even though they banned Rabbi Teitz for the Tanya, he did refuse to give it to them. He kept the Tanya back. But miraculously, they had their answer from the Rebbe, not needing Rabbi Teitz to go back and figure out how the Rebbe is going to answer them. So this is connected to the Tanya. It's connected to the love that the Rebbe had for his Chassidim in particular, every Jew in the world in general, and how he miraculously guided them and helped them out. May we look to the Torah, look to the Rebbe, look for guidance and blessings from Hashem, and may we receive them in a revealed fashion. Have a wonderful, illuminating Hanukkah.